Alright guys, it's Jahlon with the Paradox Gaming Network, and we had our Ashes of Creation live stream today, and I will say it was nice to see that new backdrop. Make sure you check out the official video. They did something new with their background. You see a cosmetic that's currently in the store, already modeled and animated there, so that was an improvement. And let's jump into the rest. What I want to give you is your too long didn't watch. Basically, this is going to be the no dates version. No date on the studio move, no date on Castle Sieges, no date on Alpha 1, no fixed date for the creative director letter. So those of you that watch my show looking for dates and updates, none of that for you today. I do want to follow their own tracker, and today we're going to talk about studio updates, design, engineering, character art, environment art, and the question and answer. So to start with the studio update, like I told you, on the studio move, we did not get a specific date. It is supposed to be this month. They are moving into a new studio in San Diego that is 31,000 square feet. They are going to be in the second floor of a four-floor building, which is good because they have the option to expand into those other two floors by contract. Don't have all of the details on that and how long they have to make that decision, but moving into a facility that is bigger allows them to bring on more staff. They can finally reach their staffing goals, and hopefully they can start moving along a little bit faster. Talk about that creative director letter. It has been delayed until Christmas. Now, just to give people a little bit of background on this, this is the Q3 creative director letter. So it was due by 30 September. And then on the live stream in September, will probably be the first week of next month. And then on the 5th of October, Steven said he was working on the letter today. And it was generally, the letter is a review of the previous quarter with an outlook on the upcoming quarter. That really kind of lets me down because that means October, November, December didn't really have an outlook. There are a lot of things I could say, a lot of negative things I could say. I'm going to keep all those in the bag right now. And then last week we got think I'm going to push the director's letter to encompass the fourth quarter and have it come out around Christmas at this point, which is fine. But let's just look at what you said it was. It's a review of the previous quarter and an outlook on the upcoming quarter. They're not that hard to write. Just to prove it, I actually wrote the Q3 creative director's letter for Steven. It's been on my website for quite a while now. And it's basically, Steven's too busy to write this, introduction to some staff, goodbye to some staff. If you're looking for a job, here's the jobs we have. Talk about some old business. Here's our deliverables rate. Here's how we've been meeting your expectations. And then the new stuff, I don't have any information for that, but I do know that for Chapter 2 of APOC is actually going to start on 15 December, and we don't have a Castle Siege mode to go with it. So, you know, I don't think it would have been too hard to put together a letter. And if you can't make a quarterly letter, then just get rid of the expectation. Was this a cause for concern? Unfortunately, I have to say no. He got me. He boxed me in because what I did was on the 15th of November, I literally said on Discord, at this point, just announce you're canceling the Q3 letter, and when you have what you need, you'll put out a creative director's letter. What are you going to do? Release one in November and another in December? And I'll be damned if that's not what he did. Think I'm going to encompass the fourth quarter and have it come out around Christmas. Right decision. If you don't have anything to say, I mean, like I showed you, you could still do the fluffy welcome to the staff, goodbye to the staff piece. Should have done this a lot sooner. Expectation management at this stage is key. Expectation management is what Intrepid is absolutely failing at. I track just the objective delivery of their deliverables. I don't grade the quality of the weekly updates, the dev diaries, the monthly recaps, the live streams. I don't grade them, you know, subjectively and say, oh, this was a bad letter. I just check off if they did it or not, and it would be an F at this point. Design stuff. We did get to talk a little bit about design stuff. Jeff represented the design team this month. And part of the delay, and I can accept this legitimately as a delay, part of the delay was due to the chaos system. They were waiting to see its potential. I talked about that last month. I showed the chaos system a little bit. And they're using bits of it, but they're using more of their own system. Now, the truth of the matter is, I can accept this a little bit, that if you were waiting to see what tools would become available, But it's also a concern for me because we keep hearing about how cool it's going to look when it's done, but how is it going to play? I would rather have a solid game with no polish than a weak game with lots of polish. I don't need the wall to collapse in a really cool fashion. I need to be able to, you know, have the mechanics and the math of how many hit points the wall has, how it takes its damage. Can I damage it as a person? Do I have to have siege engines? That is the stuff I need for a game to be good. The fact that I can put a hole in the wall and climb through it before it collapses, that's cool, but it's not core. With that, from the question and answer today, I pulled this one up because I thought it was relevant to be in design. They are keeping up with the Unreal Engine 4 versions, even in development. They will have to commit to an engine at some point when they are closer to commercial launch. So I know a lot of people have been saying, well, Unreal Engine just keeps coming out with new builds, and where is Ashes of Creation at with that? And they're staying on top of that as they develop. Talk about some other Castle Siege stuff specifically. Yes, the Castle Siege will have a longer time to kill than the Battle Royale. It is going to be closer to the MMO in time to kill. Not exactly the same length, but closer. Because this is going to make it more relevant with stats tied to armor and class. And then healing is going to be available in Castle Siege mode, so that will be a factor with the time to kill. Now, with that, the MMORPG will have a longer time to kill than that. And then there are a couple other Castle Siege notes that came up in the Q&A. Next up is something that I have to preface with a video clip. So I'm going to step away for a second. I'm going to insert a video clip that I want you guys to hear because this one needs some context for my concern.
Yeah, so one of the things we're working on right now pretty hard is the lore side of things, trying to architect out the kind of flow of where everything is going to go. The engineering is kind of, we need this specific tool to make the quests kind of work the way they're going to. They're pretty complex in this game in terms of, you know, how predicates work and how one quest leads to another, because people are going to be making real choices in the game, and that's really different from any other MMO that's been out there. So we need to architect that all out in order to make sure that we give engineering the kind of examples that we need to get those tools ready to go.
Right, and we have a unique, you know, and something that, you know, you as players will see in the Alpha 1 that people participate in is, you know, we have to make sure that we structure the quest lines in a way that don't predetermine where the largest focal point of activity will be.
What did you say, Margaret?
In order that we do not seed the structure across all servers. The whole aspect of, you know, something that's unique about Ashes of Creation is that the world developments, from the world development standpoint, you know, these NPCs, the towns that arise, the quest lines that become available to players is something that's based on the player agency, the player choice, the community's direction as a whole. And while that sort of direction can be determined differently on different servers based on what, let's say, racial populations and or starting points that players may begin in, one additional component, as Jeff was describing with regards to the questing, is that there needs to be a variance of questing that doesn't always take you to point A, B, but rather, you know, could be time session based, could be additive number of players that have participated in certain quest lines, and then you'll see some adaptive changes in those quests based on those things.
Yeah, so in order to do that, we have to kind of figure out where we're going with the story and what options we want to present to you. So that's kind of what we've been working on right now. It's been a lot of fun. It's my wheelhouse, so it's been a lot of really exciting thing to work on. So
I know you guys have been like making some tools internally to try to make sure that those things work properly and kind of playing through the storylines, and there's a lot of story. Many documents.
Yes, there's a lot of stuff to write.
Yeah,
but yeah, we work from the high level first, and then we get down to the nitty gritty as time.
That they're still doing a lot of building of stuff. I have to revisit the point: was before 2020 ever really a viable goal? They're still building the tools to build the quests that shape the world without affecting player agency. How was before 2020 ever a realistic timeline? I am willing to accept that they had some engineering setbacks, some server architecture setbacks, some bits and pieces that they had to work on, but I am really concerned, not just with the before 2020 aspect of this, but I'm really starting to get concerned with the 3-car Monty, the shell game of the release date. You don't even have a projected timeline at this point. And this is the question the community must be asking. Hey, no kidding, real talk, what is the projected window? And Intrepid's not going to answer this, and I really think they're obligated to, because in about 5 weeks, we're past that deadline that we should be playing the actual game, the actual launch. Not Alpha 1, not Alpha 2, not Beta 1, not Beta 2. We should be playing the actual launch in less than 5 weeks. And I am going to say I don't realistically believe we will even get into Alpha 1 in 2020 if this is the quote that they're saying. Now, I'd love to get your feedback. I'd love to get your comments in the comments below. I know Intrepid watches these videos, and I think they need a no kidding sounding board from the community on what the future timetable looks like. With that said, engineering, leaderboards, the quote is pretty much done with it. Very, very soon. So it's not just soon, registered trademark, it's very, very soon. I do have to throw in that these were due in October or November of 2018. So we're like a year late. And I'm going to be honest, why do we really need leaderboards in the MMORPG? I can't really think of a time where we need leaderboards. And I think you're wasting a whole lot of time. I think a whole lot of time is being wasted talking about leaderboards, developing leaderboards. Sure, if you're going to try to make a marketable battle royale, yeah, you need them. Other than that, they're not needed in an MMORPG. Give me an example of an MMORPG where you need leaderboards. You don't. About the art, I have character art and environmental art grouped together. I don't really dive into the art. There are other content creators that do this. You see a little bit of the art on the screen. Let's just be honest. Intrepid has amazing artists. I don't think we need to sell the art. I don't think we need to sell the visuals. I don't really think we need to talk about the art each month. I do want to give them mad credit. That's why I'm putting some stuff on the screen. The stuff looks amazing. And I think it is right now the pillar that Ashes of Creation anchors onto. It anchors onto its art. The art is really what is keeping the game going, what's keeping the hype going. But I don't want to spend a lot of time on it because for 2 years we've known the art looks great. I do want to get into the question and answers. Guys, I do have to remind you, do like 2 minutes of research on your question before you ask your question. Most of the questions are on the wiki. We had, I think, 11 repeat questions today in one way, shape, form, or the other. Now, if you want to reconfirm something, then ask it as a reconfirmation question, because then that will filter into the wikis and into other content creators' stuff a lot faster. One good question was the Castle Siege abilities. Some abilities from the Battle Royale will go to the Siege. Some will have tweaks. For the most part, they're all new abilities for the classes, not tied to weapons. This is traditionally your hotbar type skills, more traditional MMO style of how your skills are developed. We also got asked about the enhanced ping system for the Battle Royale. Yes, it's coming. We knew this. Will there be gold sinks? Yes, they had an economist on staff who wrote a bunch of white papers for them. Steven is aware of the need of a viable dynamic economy. So yes, there's going to be gold sinks. Default player appearances? Yes, been asked a bunch of times. Yes, you will be able to put people into the default player appearance. Now, specifically the person asked, can I take off an individual person's armor to see what they're wearing underneath? The way Steven worded it today versus the way he's worded it previously, no, I don't think his intention was to say you can see what somebody's wearing underneath their cosmetic. I do believe the answer is it's kind of like ArcAge, where I can make everybody a Power Ranger to lower the strain on my graphics processing unit. So if I'm playing on a potato, I can make everybody look the same to get some enhanced performance. With that, will there be secret limited vendors? Yes, a lot of them will be tied to your social organization. Do secondary classes affect stats? And this is the one that I was talking about, reconfirmation. We already knew that originally secondary classes did affect your stats, and the way the question was asked, it's not anymore. I'm glad that Steven specifically gave the soundbite that it was a shift in design about 6 months ago. So this is the evolution of the game. So sometimes a question has to be repeated, but do your homework on the question so that everybody knows you understood the question, you understood the topic, and you're trying to reconfirm something. So this is good. This is an actual change. People have been asking for a top-down spectator view for sieges. Yes, there's going to be a spectator, no to top-down, and this is based around not wanting one side or the other to get an informational advantage. And Chibi's going to join us on the screen for a second because this is my opinion. Get rid of this. If people want to see if people want to see the sieges, they can watch a content creator's video on it. If a content creator is present for that siege or that castle war, whatever, a content creator that's present will make a video on it. If there's no content creator present, then there's no video made. And I say this because some guilds do things a very certain way. Some guild leaders control what media is released as they're doing content until stuff becomes common knowledge. I see this as a potential issue. No matter how you allow people to spectate, I see it as an information control issue where a guild leader or a guild's strategy might get leaked due to spectator mode that you necessarily wouldn't be able to see from a opposing player point of view. So I really think that they could just dump a lot of workload and get rid of this. And I know some people are going to say, well, I want to spectate. Again, there are content creators that will make fight videos of the good castle sieges. It happens in every game. Back into the Q&A. Do dwarves have an innate resistance to magic? No, but they may have racials they can spec into. And it says may because we don't know which races will and will not have what. Is there a bonding system with your mount? Not a time thing, not how long you've had the mount. Yes, to experience unlocking things. We knew about this in the past. Steven is a big fan of Arcage. He alluded to that in today's video, that the higher level your pet or your mount in Arcage got, the more abilities it had. So that's something that they're looking at. Moving on with, will other races appear in Apocalypse? That is the idea. That has always been the plan. The goal is to have everything that's built for the MMO tested in Apocalypse. Jeff did talk about how that might be strange with the different hitboxes. And this is where you get that Apocalypse as a game versus Apocalypse as a testing ground starts to become problematic. If I'm playing a competitive battle royale, a competitive PvP game where hitbox size matters, then I'm going to make my character as small as possible so I have the smallest hitbox possible. This happened in Revelation Online. If I'm playing a game where I'm testing hitboxes, then yes, you want people making ridiculously large hitboxes. You want them making ridiculously small, fat, skinny, all sorts of sizes to see if you can break the hitbox registration. So this is where APOC... I really hope in the Q4 letter, Steven does some redefining of the intention of Apocalypse because they need to dump the entire idea that it's a standalone game. A standalone game, as much as Intrepid wants to say that's not the goal, a standalone game has to be financially viable. You can say that that's not our goal with it all you want, but then why'd you monetize it? You don't get to talk from both sides of the line, so just fix it. Just fix what Apocalypse is for. Will there be quests for Siege? Will the quests for Siege be tied to the same adventure path as the Battle Royale? Yes. Like I said earlier, this brings up the concern. Season 2 is supposed to start next month, and we still don't have Castle Siege release date. This one was silly. Can I turn off my health bar and hide in plain sight? No, because I get to decide if I see your health bar. You don't get to decide if I see your health bar. Just think about game mechanics. In this one, will casuals be relevant? That's not exactly how the question was asked, but I'm boiling it down to that. And here was Steven, and, you know, yes, there are multiple playstyles that accommodate ... insert a very good politically correct answer. Very good job on that one, Steven. I'm trying to make sure everyone stays, you know, involved. But let's be honest and get your little truth in the MMO world. You are a casual. You will not progress as fast as someone who is playing hardcore. That is the nature of life, not just in video games. This is the nature of life made real in your MMO. Somebody who works harder is going to get further ahead than you. And nor should you be equal to somebody who is, you know, playing hardcore. Now, a couple of caveats to that. Playtime doesn't make you hardcore. You can play 20 hours a day and play very ineffectively and still, like, you're hardcore hours, but you're still a casual. At the same time, you can, you know, play 4 hours a day and be considered hardcore if you're using all 4 hours a day to 100% potential. So effective playtime makes you hardcore, not just play hours. Finally, I chose to put this one last because it's a good mark to leave on. What shapes changes? Community opinion versus raw data. Now, I'm a raw data guy. I'm a CPI guy, continuous process improvement. I make data-driven decisions. That's why, for me, it's really easy to say, kill off APOC. The data shows. External data shows that APOC's a failure as a standalone game. External data shows that it's very successful as a testing ground. Intrepid both get taken into account. You look at your data. Now, always remember that garbage data is garbage. And data doesn't always tell the whole story. Data can only tell you a story if you know what you're looking for. Data will also never tell you if it's fun. You can have all the best data in the world, but it may look fun by the numbers and it just doesn't play fun, and that's where the community opinion comes into play. With that, guys, I am Jahlon. I am the guy that does ashes101.com. It is up. It is there. Unfortunately, I do have to go through. I'm waiting on a lot of stuff from Intrepid. I'm waiting on 2 node blogs so I can completely redo the node section. But I'm not sitting around doing nothing while I'm waiting for information. I am actually teaching myself a little HTML so I can make Ashes 101 look a little bit better. A lot of feedback from people, the sort of stuff they want to see. So I am working on that. It is slow. I am an old dog. I have to learn new tricks. Until then, guys, if you have any questions about Ashes of Creation, go ahead and leave a comment on this video. Get me on Discord. I'm Jahlon #0001, and you can usually find me arguing with somebody about something on the official Discord. If you need a link to the official Discord, just ask me. I'll get you invited. You guys take care. Enjoy Thanksgiving next week, and with the lull, with the holiday, I can hopefully catch up on some work. Take care. What are you still doing here? Nobody ever stays this long. This is the end screen. Well, since you're here, there's a couple other videos I think you should check out. And all those names, those are my patrons over at Patreon. I couldn't do this without them. So, big thanks to them for all their support.